Earth cut ties with the Galactic Council and left the universe in chaos. Part 1. The sky over Geneva was gray that morning, heavy with clouds that refused to break. Inside the domed chamber of the Unified Planetary Congress, the air hummed with tension. Delegates from every continent sat in silence, their faces lit by the soft glow of floating data panels. At the center of it all stood Daniel Brooks. He was not a soldier or a celebrity, just a quiet man with tired eyes and a voice that carried more weight than he ever wanted. For 200 years, Earth had been part of the Galactic Council, a union of over 200 alien civilizations that governed trade, peace, and exploration across the stars. At first, it seemed like a dream. Humans gained access to faster-than-light travel, medical tech that cured aging, and knowledge from species older than trees. But over time, the dream soured. The Council made decisions that hurt Earth without asking. They blocked aid during the Martian famine. They ignored the massacre on Epsilon Eridani III, where thousands of human colonists died while Council ships watched from orbit. Worst of all, they treated Earth like a child, useful but never equal. Daniel had spent years as an astrophysicist before entering politics. He remembered the day the Council refused to share the schematics for quantum stabilizers, claiming humans lacked the maturity to handle them. That was the moment he knew Earth could never be truly free while kneeling at someone else's table. Now, standing before the Congress, he held a small data chip in his hand. It contained the Secession Accord, the legal document that would cut all ties with the Galactic Council. No more shared fleets, no more joint research, no more orders from alien bureaucrats light years away. Across the chamber, Lena Ruiz watched him. She was Earth's official liaison to the Council, fluent in 7 alien tongues and respected even by the Varelians, whose kind rarely spoke to humans. She had spent her life building bridges between species. To her, the Accord wasn't freedom, it was suicide. "You don't understand what you're doing," she had told Daniel the night before, her voice low and urgent. "The galaxy isn't just politics and trade routes. There are things holding it together, things we don't even know about. If Earth walks away, everything could fall apart." Daniel had only nodded. "Maybe, but if we stay, we lose ourselves." Now the vote was about to happen. The Speaker of the Congress, an elderly woman named Helen Cho, raised her hand for silence. "All in favor of adopting the Secession Accord, please activate your consent lights." One by one, green lights flickered to life across the chamber. Some delegates hesitated. Others pressed the button without looking up. Within seconds, the tally appeared in the air above them, 87% in favor. The motion passed. Outside the dome, crowds erupted in cheers. In cities from Nairobi to Buenos Aires, people poured into the streets waving flags that hadn't been flown in decades, national banners, forgotten symbols of a time before Earth spoke with one voice. They didn't care about galactic politics. They only knew that for the first time in generations. Earth belonged to humans again, but in the Council's orbital embassy high above the Pacific, Ambassador Zorath of the Varelian Concord watched the vote with cold, lidless eyes. His species communicated through subtle shifts in skin color, and right now, his pale blue hide darkened to storm gray. He turned to his aide. "Send the emergency alert. Code Omega." Within minutes, every Council vessel within 10 light years went to high alert. Trade convoys halted. Diplomatic channels flooded with panic. The news spread faster than light. Earth had left. Back in Geneva, Daniel stepped out of the Congress dome into the rain. He didn't celebrate. He just stood there, water dripping from his hair, staring at the sky. He knew what came next. The Council would not let Earth go quietly. They might cut off supply lines, freeze Earth's assets in interstellar banks, maybe even blockade the Sol system. But none of that mattered now. The choice was made. Lena found him there holding a sealed message chip. "Zorath sent this," she said, her voice flat. "He says if Earth disables its quantum relay network, the consequences will be uncontainable." Daniel took the chip but didn't read it. "Tell him we already did." Lena's eyes widened. "You shut down the relays? All of them?" "An hour ago. No more calls home for Council spies. No more tracking our ships through entanglement links. From now on, Earth speaks only when it chooses to." She shook her head, rain mixing with tears on her cheeks. "You've just thrown a rock into a still pond, Daniel. But you don't know how deep that water goes." He looked at her, then past her toward the stars hidden behind the clouds. "Maybe not, but it's our pond now. By nightfall, Earth's presence in the galactic network vanished. Its fleet disappeared from shared navigation grids. Its research stations went dark. Even the tiny outposts on icy moons stopped broadcasting. To the rest of the galaxy, it was as if humanity had blinked out of existence. On the bridge of the Council cruiser, Starward, Commander Elias Grant stared at his empty tactical display. "They're really gone," he muttered. He had been born on Luna, raised in Council schools and sworn loyalty to the greater galactic order. But part of him, a small stubborn part, felt a strange pride. Earth had chosen itself. Far away, near the edge of the Oort cloud, something stirred. A signal, faint and ancient, pulsed once in response to Earth's silence. It was not human. It was not Council. It had been waiting a very long time, but no one noticed. Not yet. In Geneva, Daniel Brooks walked back into the Congress building, not as a scientist or a rebel, but as the man who had just changed everything. The rain kept falling. The world kept turning. And somewhere in the endless dark between stars, chaos began to bloom. Earth cut ties with the Galactic Council and left the universe in chaos part. 2-3 weeks after Earth vanished from the galactic network, the cracks began to show. At first it was small things. A cargo freighter bound for the Cygnus shipyards missed its wormhole jump because the Terran-made stabilizer at Alpha Centauri went offline without warning. The ship drifted for days before rescue came. Then came the bigger problems. On the desert world of Kalis 4, the atmospheric processors, designed and maintained by Earth engineers, started failing. The air grew thin. People coughed in the streets. The local government begged the Council for help, but no one knew how to fix machines built with human code and sealed behind encryption no alien mind could crack. On Mars Colony Theta, Kyle Dawson wiped sweat from his brow as alarms blared through the life support control room. He was 32 with grease-stained hands and a sharp mind for systems. For 10 years he had kept the colony's oxygen recyclers running, but now the main unit was overheating, its core flashing error codes in a language only Earth's central AI understood. "We've tried bypassing the safety locks," said his teammate, a young woman named Priya. "But the system keeps rejecting our commands. It's like it's waiting for a password only someone on Earth knows." Kyle slammed his fist on the console. "Earth isn't answering. They cut the line." Outside the dome, the red dust swirled in slow, lazy spirals. Mars had been humanity's second home for over a century, but now it felt like an orphan. No supply ships, no updates, no voice from home. The colonists were on their own. Meanwhile, aboard the deep space research vessel, Odyssey, Maya Patel floated in the quiet hum of the comms lab. She was a xenolinguist, trained to decode alien signals, but lately, she'd been listening for something far simpler, a human voice. For days, she'd been tracking a faint repeating transmission from Proxima Centauri b, a former Earth outpost called Haven 7. The message was broken, glitching in and out, but she had managed to piece together enough to understand. "Systems, failing at a no contact with Sol. They left us, then clear as ice. They don't understand what we've done." Maya played the line again. Her stomach twisted. Haven 7 had 500 people. If Earth had truly abandoned them, they would run out of food, power, and hope within months. She reported the signal to the ship's captain, but he just shook his head. "We're Council flagged, Maya. We can't go near Sol space, not now." She knew he was right. Since the secession, the Council had declared Earth's territory off limits. Any ship entering the Sol system risked being fired upon, or worse, vanishing like Earth itself. Back on Earth, life seemed calm. Cities ran on clean energy. Farms bloomed under artificial suns. Children went to school unaware that the world outside their sky was falling apart. But in the capital, Daniel Brooks saw the truth. Reports poured in from hidden observation posts near the edge of the solar system. Strange energy readings. Unidentified objects hovering near Neptune. And then there were the dreams. People across the globe began reporting the same vision, a vast, silent structure floating in black space, covered in symbols that looked like constellations from Earth's ancient past. Scientists dismissed it as mass hysteria, Daniel wasn't so sure. He met with Lena Ruiz in a quiet garden behind the old UN building. She looked exhausted, her eyes shadowed from sleepless nights. "The Council is in chaos," she said. "Trade routes are collapsing. 3 member species are threatening to leave. They're blaming Earth for everything." "And are we?" Daniel asked. Lena hesitated. "I don't know. But cutting off the relays, that didn't just silence us. It broke something bigger. The quantum lattice that ties the galaxy together. It used Earth's core frequency as a reference point. Without it, signals degrade. Navigation fails. Even time sync is drifting." Daniel stared at the cherry blossoms falling around them. "We didn't know." "You should have asked," she said softly. "You should have waited." Before he could reply, an alert chimed on his wristband. He read the message, and his face went pale. "Something's happening near the Oort cloud. A pulse. Not energy, not matter. Something else." That same night on the ice moon of Xylos 9, archaeologist Nora Finch brushed frost from a stone slab buried under 10 meters of permafrost. She had been studying ruins left by a long-dead species when her scanner picked up a harmonic resonance, identical to the frequency of Earth's magnetic field. The slab lit up with soft blue light, revealing carvings of stars. Not just any stars. The exact pattern seen from Earth 10,000 years ago. Nora whispered into her recorder. "This place knew Earth existed before humans even built cities. And it's waking up." Back on Mars, Kyle Dawson made a desperate decision. He rerouted power from the colony's greenhouse to the life support core, sacrificing crops for air. It bought them another week. As he walked back to his quarters, he looked up at the sky. Earth was just a bright dot now, but it felt like a closed door. On the Odyssey, Maya Patel stayed up late, replaying the Haven 7 message. She couldn't shake the last words. "They don't understand what we've done." She wondered if Earth knew. If Daniel Brooks knew. If anyone realized that leaving the Council hadn't just changed politics, it had changed the rules of reality itself. Far beyond the solar system, a Council freighter carrying medical supplies to a plague-stricken world misjumped during transit. It didn't explode. It didn't crash. It simply ceased to exist, erased from space-time as if it had never been. The Council called it a navigation error. But deep in their archives, ancient texts spoke of a time when the universe unraveled because an anchor was removed. No one connected the dots. Not yet. But the silence from Earth grew heavier with each passing hour. And in the dark between stars, something old and vast stirred, confused by the sudden absence of a voice it had listened to for millennia. On Earth, children still played. Markets still bustled. But in the quiet moments people felt it, a hollowness in the air like the world was holding its breath. Daniel Brooks stood alone on a balcony overlooking the ocean. The waves crashed below, steady and sure. He wondered how long that would last. He had wanted freedom for his people, but freedom he was beginning to see came with a price no one had imagined, and the bill was coming due. Earth cut ties with the Galactic Council and left the universe in chaos Part 3. The galaxy was breaking, and no one knew how to fix it. Trade ships vanished mid-jump. Planets lost contact with their moons. Time itself seemed to stutter. Clocks ran fast in one system, slow in another. The Council called emergency meetings every day, but their solutions only made things worse. They tried rerouting signals through Varelian hubs, but the data corrupted. They sent repair drones to failing outposts, but the machines refused to obey non-human commands. Earth's technology, once shared freely, now stood like locked doors in a burning house. Commander Elias Grant stood on the bridge of his ship, the Starward, staring at a star map that no longer made sense. Red zones bloomed across it like infections, places where space had become unstable. His crew moved quietly, their faces tight with fear. They had spent their lives believing the galaxy was orderly, governed by laws and alliances. Now it felt like walking on thin ice. "Sir," said his first officer, "the Sol barrier is still up. No signals in or out, but we're picking up strange energy patterns near Pluto's orbit. Not weapons. Not engines. Something structural, Elias nodded. He had been ordered to approach Earth not to attack, but to talk. The Council hoped Earth would see the chaos and come back. But Elias wasn't sure Earth even cared anymore. He gave the order. Set course for the Sol system. Full stealth protocol. We go in quiet. As the starward slipped through the outer edges of the solar system, Elias felt a chill. The stars looked different here. Sharper, brighter, as if Earth's absence had cleared the cosmic fog. Then, without warning, the ship's engines died. Not damaged, not broken, just off. Every system went dark except life support. Outside the viewport, a shimmering wall of light appeared, stretching from the asteroid belt to the edge of the Kuiper belt. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. This is the barrier, Elias whispered. They really did it. Inside the barrier, Earth had changed. Cities no longer burned fossil fuels. Towers of living crystal rose from the ground, glowing with soft green light. Trains floated on magnetic rails between continents, silent and swift. People moved with calm purpose, as if they all shared the same thought. Daniel Brooks walked through New Geneva. No guards, no fanfare. He wore simple clothes and carried a small tablet that showed real-time data from every corner of the planet. Food production was up. Energy use was down. Crime had nearly vanished. It wasn't magic, it was unity. For the first time in human history, Earth spoke with one voice, and that voice said, "We are enough." But Daniel knew the truth. The peace was fragile. The barrier wasn't just defense, it was containment. Something inside Earth's core had awakened when the quantum relays shut down. A hum, deep and ancient, now resonated through the planet's crust. Scientists called it the world song. Others called it the voice of the planet itself. Whatever it was changing humanity. People dreamed the same dreams. They solved problems without speaking. Some even claimed they could feel the thoughts of strangers in crowded streets. Lena Ruiz found Daniel in a quiet park where cherry trees bloomed out of season. "You've turned Earth into a fortress," she said. "But fortresses fall when the world outside starves." "We didn't cause this," Daniel replied. "The Council built a house of cards and blamed us when it collapsed. You cut the thread that held it together," she shot back. "You knew Earth's frequency stabilized the quantum lattice." "You knew," he looked away. "I didn't know about the architects." Lena froze. "The what?" Before he could answer, a message flashed on his tablet. It was from Maya Patel, sent through a smuggled data burst from the Odyssey. She had found something. On Proxima Centauri b, the ruins near Haven 7 weren't just ruins. They were part of a network, vast, buried, and humming with the same frequency as Earth. And they were waking up. At the same time, on the ice moon Xylos 9, Nora Finch stood inside a newly opened chamber. The walls were covered in moving star maps, all centered on Sol. In the center of the room, a pedestal held a smooth black sphere. When she touched it, images flooded her mind. Earth as it was millions of years ago, surrounded by silent orbiting structures. Beings, tall, faceless, made of light, watched over it like gardeners tending a rare flower. One phrase echoed in her thoughts. Anchor species. She understood now. Humanity wasn't just another civilization. Earth was a keystone. Its unique magnetic field, its position in the galaxy, its very biology. It all resonated with something older than stars. The architects had placed humanity here on purpose, and when Earth left the Council, it didn't just walk away. It pulled the plug on a machine no one knew existed. Back on Mars, Kyle Dawson received a strange signal. Not from Earth, not from the Council. It came from deep space, repeating a single tone that matched the harmonic frequency of Earth's core. His life support systems responded instantly. The overheating stopped. The error codes vanished. The colony breathed again. He didn't know why. He only knew that somewhere something was listening. On the starward, Elias Grant watched the barrier ripple. A narrow corridor opened, just wide enough for one ship. A voice, calm and human, spoke over open comms. "Commander Grant, you may enter. But come alone." It was Daniel Brooks. Elias hesitated. This could be a trap, or it could be the only chance to stop the unraveling. He ordered his crew to hold position and took a shuttle through the opening. As he landed in a quiet field outside New Geneva, he saw Daniel waiting. No weapons, no soldiers. Just two men who once served the same dream, now standing on opposite sides of a broken galaxy. "You're not here to fight. Daniel said. No, Elias replied. I'm here to understand, Daniel nodded. Then you'll see what we've seen. And you'll understand why we couldn't stay. He led Elias to a hidden facility beneath the city. There, on a massive screen, data streamed from every corner of known space. Red dots marked collapses. Blue lines showed the spread of temporal distortions. And at the center of it all, a single pulse originating not from Earth but from thousands of points across the galaxy was growing stronger. The architects are waking up, Daniel said. And they're looking for us. Elias stared at the screen, his blood running cold. What do they want? Daniel's voice was quiet. They want the anchor back, or they'll reset everything. Outside, the sky darkened, not from clouds but from something passing between Earth and the sun, something huge. The silence that followed was heavier than any words, and far away in the void between galaxies, the first of the megastructures turned its face towards Seoul. Earth cut ties with the Galactic Council and left the universe in chaos part. For the first true disaster struck without warning. One moment, the Andromeda border sector was calm, 3 council-aligned colonies humming with daily life. The next, a ripple passed through space like a stone dropped in still water. Then silence. The colonies were gone. Not destroyed. Not invaded, erased, no debris. No signals. Just empty orbits where worlds used to be. Panic spread faster than light. Species that had never feared war now whispered about the end of everything. The council convened an emergency session, but their voices trembled. Scans showed the anomaly had begun with a signal, a burst of quantum energy that matched Earth's unique resonance. All eyes turned to Seoul. On Earth, Daniel Brooks watched the news with a heavy heart. He stood in the command center beneath New Geneva, surrounded by screens showing the chaos unfolding across the stars. He knew the truth. Earth hadn't sent that signal. But Earth's absence had allowed something else to speak. Maya Patel and Jalen Cruz worked in a hidden lab aboard the Odyssey, far from council oversight. Jalen was a Kethuri scientist who had spent his life studying cosmic harmonics. He had long believed the universe ran on unseen frequencies like music no one could hear. Now he was sure. The galaxy isn't just space and matter, he told Maya, his voice urgent. It's a living instrument. Earth was the tuning fork. When you removed it, the song went wrong. Maya stared at the data. So the erasures? They're not attacks. They're corrections, Jalen nodded. The system is trying to stabilize itself by removing unstable elements. But without Earth's frequency to guide it, it's deleting everything it doesn't understand. She thought of Haven 7, of the people still waiting for help that would never come. We have to warn them, but who would listen? The Council blamed Earth. Earth blamed the Council. And no one knew about the architects on Xylos 9. Nora Finch stood before the black sphere in the ancient chamber. It pulsed softly, showing new images, vast structures drifting through deep space, shaped like spirals and rings, older than galaxies. They were waking up, and they were moving toward Seoul. She sent her findings through a narrow band burst encrypted with old human codes. The message reached Daniel within hours. He read it alone, his hands shaking. The architects weren't just observers. They were caretakers, and they saw Earth's withdrawal as a failure of duty. Back on Mars, Kyle Dawson noticed something strange. The strange tone that had saved his life support system was changing. It now carried patterns, rhythms that felt like language. He recorded it and sent it to every scientist he knew. Within days, replies came from a dozen hidden outposts. They all heard it too. The universe was speaking, and it spoke in Earth's voice. Commander Elias Grant remained on Earth under Daniel's protection. He had seen the data, heard the theories, and walked the silent streets where people moved like parts of one mind. He no longer saw rebels. He saw guardians who didn't know they were guarding anything. You have to go back, Elias told Daniel one evening. Not as subjects, not as equals, but as the anchor. The galaxy needs you. And if we say no, Daniel asked, then the architects will unmake us all. Elias said simply. At that moment, alarms blared across the command center. Massive energy signatures appeared at the edge of the solar system. Not ships, not weapons, structures. Each one dwarfed Jupiter, smooth and silent, covered in the same star map carvings Nora had found. The architects had arrived. Daniel ordered the barrier to hold. But the megastructures didn't attack. They simply waited. Hovering in perfect formation, they broadcast a single pulse, a tone so deep it vibrated in bones, not ears. Every human on Earth felt it. Children stopped playing. Workers paused mid-task. Even the world song inside the planet's core seemed to answer. Lena Ruiz rushed to Daniel's side. "They're not asking. They're demanding. What do they want?" he asked. "The anchor restored," she said. "Or total reset." Maya Patel, watching from the Odyssey, realized the truth. The architects didn't care about politics or pride. They cared about balance. And balance required Earth to rejoin the network, not as a member of the Council, but as the heart of the system. She made a decision. Ignoring Council orders, she aimed the Odyssey's main transmitter at Sol and sent everything she and Jalen had discovered. The harmonic theory, the erasure patterns, the proof that Earth's frequency was the only thing holding reality together. She signed it with her name and added one line. "We were never alone, but we were never in charge either." The message pierced the barrier. Daniel received it. So did the architects. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the largest megastructure shifted. A beam of soft light reached down, not toward Earth, but toward the empty space near Neptune. There, a new point of light appeared, a node humming with the same frequency as Earth's core. It was an offer, a way to restore the anchor without surrendering sovereignty. Daniel looked at Elias, then at Lena. "They're giving us a choice. Reconnect on our terms or be removed." Elias nodded. "This is it, the moment everything hinges on." Outside, the sky filled with silent giants. The wind stilled. Even the birds stopped singing. The whole planet held its breath. Daniel Brooks walked to the central console. His finger hovered over the control that would reopen Earth's quantum relays. He thought of the Martian famine, the ignored genocide, the centuries of being treated as lesser. But he also thought of Kyle on Mars, Maya on the Odyssey, Nora on Xylos 9, humans scattered across the stars, still counting on Earth to be their home. He pressed the button. A soft chime echoed through the command center. On every screen, a green light blinked on. The relay network was live again. Across the galaxy, failing systems flickered back to life. On Kalis 4, the air grew thick and breathable. On Mars, Kyle's machines hummed with steady power. In the void, the megastructures pulsed once in unison, then began to retreat. But the danger wasn't over. The architects had accepted the gesture, but the Council still saw Earth as a threat. And somewhere in the dark, the first whispers of war were already rising. Daniel turned to his friends. "We bought time. Now we have to build something better." And far above, the silent watchers turned their faces back to the stars, waiting to see if humanity would rise to its role, or fall like all the others before. Earth cut ties with the Galactic Council and left the universe in chaos. Part 5. The silence after the architects withdrew was heavier than any storm. Earth's quantum relays were open again, but no one spoke. The Council waited. The colonies held their breath. Even the stars seemed to dim, as if watching to see what humanity would do next. Daniel Brooks knew they had only one chance to get this right. Reopening the network wasn't enough. Trust had to be rebuilt, not demanded. He called a meeting, not in Geneva, not in orbit, but on a neutral station circling Neptune, far from Earth's gravity and pride. He invited the Council's leaders, but not as rulers. He asked them to come as equals, with no guards, no weapons, just voices. To everyone's surprise, they agreed. Even Ambassador Zorath came, his skin a calm silver instead of storm gray. Lena Ruiz stood beside Daniel as the delegates arrived. She had spent weeks shuttling between Earth and the Council, carrying messages, calming fears, translating not just words but intentions. She was tired, but her eyes were clear. "This is it," she said softly. "No more secrets." Daniel nodded. "No more lies either." Inside the station's central chamber, a circular table waited. No head, no flags, just smooth metal and soft light. One by one, the leaders sat. Varelians, Cathari, Lumen, even the reclusive Mycelians who spoke through scent and vibration. Commander Elias Grant stood near the door, not as a soldier, but as a witness. He had seen both sides now, and he knew the old ways were dead. Daniel spoke first. "We left because we were tired of being told what to do, but we stayed silent too long. We didn't know our role in the greater system. Now we do. Earth will serve as anchor, but only if the galaxy changes with us." He laid out his terms. The Council must dissolve its ruling hierarchy. No single species could hold veto power. Decisions would be made by consensus, with every voice counted. Earth would share its tech, but only with those who respected human autonomy. And most importantly, the new order would be called the Concord of Equals. Not a council of masters, but a circle of partners. The room was quiet. Then Zorath rose. "You ask for everything," he said, his voice like wind through stone. "But you offer only one thing, your frequency." "No," Daniel replied. "We offer survival. Without balance, the architects will return, and next time they won't wait." Jalen Cruz stepped forward then, holding a data slate. He showed them the harmonic maps, the erasure patterns, the proof that reality itself bent around Earth's resonance. "This isn't about power," he said. "It's about physics. You can't vote against gravity. You can't argue with light. Earth is part of the universe's structure, like a star or a black hole. Deny it, and you deny truth." One by one, the leaders looked at each other. The Cathari elder tapped her staff. The mycelium released a calming pheromone. Finally, Zorath gave a slow nod. "Then let the old council die, and from its ashes let something new grow." The agreement was signed that night, not with ink but with shared light. A beam from Earth, a pulse from Varelia, a hum from Kethar, all woven into one signal and sent into deep space. A message to the architects: balance is restored. Back on Earth, people felt the change before they heard the news. The world song softened. Dreams grew peaceful again. Children laughed without the strange weight that had clung to the air for weeks. On Mars, Kyle Dawson watched his systems run smoothly, no longer fighting invisible forces. He opened a channel to Haven 7 and heard voices for the first time in months. Relief washed over him like rain. Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, now officially part of the new Concord fleet. She looked at the stars and smiled. They felt like home again, not because Earth owned them, but because Earth belonged among them. Nora Finch remained on Xylos 9, studying the chamber of the architects. The black sphere was quiet now, but it still glowed faintly when she spoke Earth's name. She knew the Watchers were still out there, distant and patient, but they were no longer angry. In Geneva, Daniel Brooks walked alone through the same garden where he and Lena had argued weeks before. The cherry blossoms were falling again. She joined him, holding 2 cups of tea. "We did it," she said. "For now," he replied. "The hard part starts tomorrow," she smiled. "Then we'll do it together." Across the galaxy, ships began to move again. Trade routes reopened, not as commands, but as invitations. Medical supplies reached Kalis 4. Food ships headed to starving outposts. And for the first time, human engineers worked side by side with alien scientists. Not as students or masters, but as partners solving problems no one could fix alone. Elias Grant returned to the Starward, but his uniform now bore the Concord symbol, a circle of stars with Sul at its center. He knew the galaxy would never be the same. And that was good. Years later, historians would call this moment the Great Reckoning, but the people who lived through it called it simply the Turning. Earth had cut ties and left the universe in chaos. But in doing so, it forced everyone to see the truth. No one was in charge. The galaxy was not a kingdom to be ruled, but a web to be tended. And humanity, once seen as reckless children, had become the thread that held it all together. As the first joint Concord ship, a vessel built by human hands and Varelian minds, launched toward the Andromeda border to rebuild what was lost, a new phrase spread through every language, every species. Every world never again without Earth. And this time it was not a threat, it was a promise.